Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Majarison, a space for honest stories, tender truths, and soul deep conversations. I'm your host, Julie Majarison, and here we explore the questions that stir something real in us. Questions about joy, fear, healing, and the moments that shape who we are. Each episode is an invitation to slow down, go deeper, and hear the kind of stories that remind us we're not alone in this human experience. So wherever you are right now, thank you for being here. Let's begin. Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Majarison podcast. I am so excited to have Razwana back, and Razwana was on episode 17. I'm getting goose pimples because this is such a beautiful experience to come back and return and see where Razwana's been, going, and where she's at the moment. So here we are, 40 episodes later, and Razwana is doing this amazing Treegasmic thing. And it's to do with divine feminine and sensual, I'm getting goose pimples, sexual sensuality. And I have had this lovely experience with trees. I'm not sure it's the same as what you're having because there's a few other banners under there, but welcome, Razwana. I'd love to have a catch up. How are you?
I am really well. Thank you, Julie, for having me back on. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I love your podcast. I love your energy and I love, yeah, everything you stand for. So yeah, I'm back and thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here. I don't know where you would like me to start, but yeah, there's plenty to talk about, I think.
Well, I think I'm just going to open the floor up to you, Raswana. Give us a little bit of an update. What has been happening over the last, I'm going to say 40 weeks, but it could be maybe 38, but 40
Oh
episodes
God.
later. So a lot of growth, a lot of change, a lot of shifts. What's
Yeah.
been happening?
Yes, one of my coaches says being a life coach is the biggest personal development program out there, and I feel like I have gone through a huge evolution, and it's ongoing, and it's beautiful, and I never really know where it's gonna take me. And last time when we spoke, I was deeply into spirituality and sacred sexuality, really enabling women to enjoy their passion, their bodies, their sensuality, and I think we talked about all of the negative just there's layers and layers of negativity around women just enjoying themselves, just knowing their bodies and loving themselves and being at one with their sensuality. So that's still ongoing in my work, and I love that, and it's part of my practice, and I love talking about and sharing about it. And I've had this whole other thing happen to me in the last year around trees. And so yeah, this is a newer thing for me because I was never really like a tree hugger. When I was younger, my parents really didn't spend a lot of time with us outdoors. We went to parks here and there, but I wasn't a tree hugging hippie. I do have some friends who are like that, and I love them. And I recycle, I study permaculture, and all of that. And I have a deep respect for nature, but I wasn't really a big person to kind of go out and really connect that much with nature. So yeah, so that's the kind of big new thing that's happened to me recently.
Wow. So, what has been the big shift for yourself? Like you've connected with the tree. I see that have you bought a house with your
Yeah,
partner and
yeah.
everything
Oh
like that. So,
gosh, yeah,
tell,
I was
yeah,
I was
tell
I
me a
was
little bit about that.
well, I was probably single last time we connected. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
No,
No, I
I
think
think
it had
I
been.
think he was new on the scene.
That's right. It's Unity. So just a quick update, like, well, just from the start, if people don't know me, so I'm from Scotland. My parents are from Pakistan, and I live in New Zealand now. And it was around COVID time. My ex-husband, now ex-husband, and I obviously we were together. We emigrated to New Zealand. I loved it. He didn't. He left, and we split up. And so then I went through this big personal development and learned all about relationships and men, and I met my most wonderful partner, like everything that I wanted in a partner, he's that. So I'm still very, very smitten with him. And in the last year, yeah, I've been doing a lot of manifesting, a lot of working, and we bought a house together. So that's been amazing. And we don't have a big garden with lots of trees. We've got one lemon tree. But the tree story is slightly different because I'll explain that. One of my clients actually, who's turned into a friend, very beautiful woman, Freya Cartwright, I'll tell her name. She's a gorgeous woman, and she's actually calls herself a tree whisperer. So she connects to the trees, speaks with them, and has been doing so since a child, like for many, many years. And they helped her so much. And she told me to go visit a particular tree in New Zealand, right in the center of New Zealand, the North Island, in a little forest. And it's a grandmother tree, and she said you can actually go inside. So I was when I first heard this, I was like, what? A tree wants to speak to me. And I'm a scientist. I'm a physiotherapist as well as a life coach and microbiologist. So I kind of was like, okay, I'm open-minded though. So I went I went to the tree, I went inside, and I had the most amazing experience. I actually felt the tree's breath. And I felt that you go inside, and there's this sort of three-part medulla dangling round down like her womb on the inside of the tree. And I could feel her breathing. And then I heard and felt a heartbeat, and it was amazing. I was just like, "Oh my God, this is strange." And then I went outside, and she started giving me some visions, and I closed my eyes, and I kept seeing these visions very strongly in bright red lights, and I kept opening my eyes and going, "Is this real?" And then closing my eyes and seeing that vision again. It was crazy. So since that time, I have been connecting with the trees and speaking with the trees, and it's
Oh,
amazing.
wow. I am in absolute awe because in the last, I'm going to say 6 to 9 months, I have been connecting with trees and I can
Ah,
actually feel the different frequency in their heartbeat. But to
yeah.
actually go inside and to feel, it's like, I want what she's having. I'm coming to visit you, Raswana. It's
Come on over.
listed on my list
I
now
will
of
take
things I want to
you.
achieve.
I will take you to see that tree.
Ah.
And I love that you're connecting with trees. Now, if you are a believer in the reincarnation model, we have been many souls in the past. We've been trees for many years, and the trees are us. Uh, they're beings. They have a life force. They have personalities because they're all different, and mostly they really want to connect with us, and sometimes you'll feel whether it's a masculine or a feminine tree. Sometimes it will not feel particularly one way gender or another. um and sometimes you'll get very strong feelings and emotions, and sometimes you'll get, I think one of the first times I went to a forest, personally, I find going to a native old forest the most powerful. The trees have been there for a long time. They've got a lot to say, and I get healing. I get coaching. Just imagine your life coach telling you, "Oh, you shouldn't do this or do this," and you're like, "Yeah, whatever." And then a tree tells you, tree said, "Come on, Julie, listen to me. Stop doing this." You'll be like, "Okay."
I
So
think I would take more notice of a tree than I would of a life coach. I'm just
yeah,
saying. I feel like
yes,
nature, universe, Mother Earth, Father Sky, they just have yeah,
so
they just hold me.
they do. There's so much love and there's so much power there. And when you start to connect with nature, like amazing things can happen. And I actually have been keeping a diary of my experiences on my phone. It's just a note. It's been going since the first one was July 2025. And then I just take a picture of the tree and then
Yeah.
I take some notes. And I've been doing that most days, like every other day or daily. And I've just had so much channeled to me directly from source. And in fact, there's another story. I forgot to tell you the rest of the story. So after meeting this tree, this grandmother tree, and starting to have these revelations, I kind of thought to myself, uh, what do the trees want from me? Like, why are they helping so much? Um, because I don't know if you know this, I'm in this inner circle called Point One, and it's about 30K US dollars to join. Everyone's very high level coaching. And I took part in a competition that they run sort of a couple of times a year called Hurt Locker. And Hurt Locker is exactly what it sounds. It hurts. You're in a container. You've got XYZ to do. It's a high level of accountability. You don't do all the things. You're out. And I took part one year, and I thought, okay, I was actually on holiday with Taiki in the in where were we, Rarotonga, and I was just like, well, I really want to do this, but beautiful man, great relationship. Do I really want to mess this up on holiday? And I decided to like, I can have my cake and eat it. So I did what I had to do on holiday, but probably was too much. And my partner was quite annoyed with me by the end of the holiday. But I was going to do some shadow seats, which are kind of like group events when I got home. So the first 2 weeks on holiday, and then as I was leaving, Taiki, my partner, went to take the car back in the car hire place. So I was in the airport with myself for about an hour or so, and I saw a couple of trees there, and I went straight up to this tree, and I pretended I was reading a book, but I just held on to the tree, and just kept pretending to read the book, but I was healing, and when I release. I kind of burped, and I was I don't think anyone was near enough to see what was going on, but luckily, but I was burping for about an hour, and I was so scared about this whole Hurt Locker. How was I going to do? I was meant to run two of these events back to back, one in the morning, one in the evening, and I'd never done one of them before. And I was just scared, and I was like, "How am I going to do this?" I had a really intent on doing the best I could and trying to win. So anyway, when I went away from that tree about an hour later, I had no fear. Like I couldn't be scared if I wanted to. I felt like a different person.
Beautiful.
It was amazing. I went home, I did two shadow seats, and then I did really well, and then more and more people wanted to work with me, and I ended up being in the top three of Hurt Locker, one of the top three winners, and I was just blown away. I thought, how has this happened to me? And that was when I kind of went, oh my gosh, why are the trees helping me? Like, what is going on? Um, but yeah, so that was the Hurt Locker experience, and yeah,
Wow, congratulations. What a beautiful awareness. And it's just amazing. Is it okay if I share my latest tree
please.
experience?
Yes, I'd love to
On
hear.
on Thursday, it's like I woke up and I had to do a podcast. It was just flowing out of me and I just had to record it. And normally I don't do it through the week when I'm, got to work. But that sort of put me behind. I felt like I was in reverse for a little bit. and I went, wow, I've just got to ground. And I went to a tree at a tree I've never been to, and I literally just felt them hold me and bring stillness in me and clear the muck that was just in there. And my whole day changed from then. It was like, and it wasn't it was just, I just want to say it was just a tree, and sometimes I'm drawn to trees, but it was like, I just need a tree. Give me a
Yeah,
tree, any tree. And this happened to be the tree. And it just shifted. And
I
and I
love
can
it.
understand about the, pretending not to show that you're actually a tree hugger or you're touching a tree. It's like, it's such a it's something that I feel I'm getting better at. I'm just holding this tree. I'm hugging this tree, or this tree's holding me. And I'm a little bit more I don't know, comfortable in doing that out in the public.
And that's a good point because a lot of people, they don't want like they care about what other people think, really, that's society. We don't want to look too crazy out there hugging trees. And there are ways that you can connect with trees without it, like without it being a full-on hug, which is great. But you can just lie back against a tree. And, I would also I love how you said um that I'm drawn to trees and the tree will attract you. It will just catch your eye and you'll know sometimes I'll just be so I'll just almost fall into a tree. I'll be like walking along and my subconscious
Like,
is taken over
they'll
and
like
I'm like,
grab
oh
you.
yeah. I'm like, oh, I meant to speak with you today. And for grounding especially, as you said, I mean, they're all about grounding, their roots go very, very deep into the earth, so they can really help us. And this day and age where we have so much, we were just talking about social medias, Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and school and blah, 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 blah. And it can just become so overwhelming that
Yeah,
actually just stopping and taking some space and okay, maybe we know about breath work, maybe we know about meditation, but actually to be with another being that knows about stillness, that practices presence, the trees can teach us so much. It's a much stronger energy to assist us. And I also love that the more I have these conversations, the more I have people say, "Oh, I like trees. I hug trees," or I speak to them. I was on holiday and talking about this when I was in with my partner on that trip, and it was a yoga retreat, and one of the guys was an arborist, and he says, before I cut the tree, I always have a conversation and I apologize and I say, look, I'm really
oh
sorry someone
wow.
has planted you here, but this is, unfortunately, this is what we're going to have to do. And it's a very, and there's a lot of, it's funny, the more I have this conversation, even though I feel like I'm slightly crazy for talking about it, the more people I have this conversation, the more they're like, yes, I'm drawn to the trees. Yes, or maybe they have a tree friend that they particularly like. Maybe there's a tree in their backyard that they go to subconsciously when they need that that hug because they
Yeah,
they do hug us. They do love and cherish us.
they do.
Mm.
I relate to you about leaning back on a tree. I get more feeling leaning back on the tree than actually hug. It's like going down the back chakras to me is just more powerful. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So if it's okay, can I explain a nice way to just to
I would
approach
love
a
to
tree?
hear your
So
understanding of it because I've just
perfect.
been coming across it. Yeah.
And that is fine. Like there's no hard and fast. What I feel like is important when we enter a forest, when we approach a tree is permission, right? It's a being. So some beings want to be hugged and touched, and some beings might just want you to be close to them or do you know what I mean? Like just
Like
asking
ask for
permission.
consent. Do we have to
Yeah,
ask for consent?
In a sense, I think, as humans, as a race, we're so used to just taking, 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 and we've done that to trees and forests and nature for so
Yeah.
long, and it's time for us to kind of go, is it okay for me to approach you? And yeah, so permission would say, and if you're intuitive, you're probably already speaking to trees. And if you're imaginative, just go with your imagination and have a conversation. And and you are actually having that conversation with the tree, your imagination and what's happening spiritually, they're kind of the same thing. Um, so yes, permission, and then if the weather permits, and maybe there's broken glass, and you might not want to, it might be the winter, but if you can take your shoes and socks off, that's best. At the moment, we're in our winter. I'm not doing that very much sometimes, but it is nice, especially when you need grounding to put your feet on the roots. I really love that. And then you can connect with the tree physically in whatever way you want. Like, and I do know some people just lie on the ground and look up as well. That's beautiful. There's some trees that have quite a few have got like a long branch on them just above the ground that you can actually lie. You can use it like a deck chair, a
Oh,
recliner.
wow.
Yes, I've been doing that. It's gorgeous. And then just allow your body to relax, or you can lean back to it as we talked about, or hug, or even side to side, cheek to cheek, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like you play around with what works for you, and each tree and each situation will be different. And yes, if you're conscious of other people, then the one you mentioned about leaning back is very nice when you want to fully relax, because that's what I feel like the trees do. They help you just get to a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation where you can completely relax and let go of everything. So, so yeah, so permission, shoes off if you can, connect in whatever way you want. And then personally, I would suggest you go into meditation. You just clear your mind. You have no pretense. And if you have questions or you want guidance, then of course ask. Like it's up to you. There's no hard and fast way. I quite like, as I say, just being open-minded to whatever's going to happen, because often the questions we have and what we feel we need to know isn't really what needs to happen. It's not really what you need to know right now. Sometimes you just need to relax, and I'm learning that more and more and more with the trees, that it is just about letting go and really allowing your nervous system to drop down to that state. When I lie back in a tree or hold on to a tree, I feel like I'm a child again. I just feel like it
Mm.
takes me right back to a kid when you have, not, you don't have to worry about the rent or the this or the that or what are we
Very,
having for dinner.
very present in the now moment. Yeah.
Fully, 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 yeah. So, and then I would thank it once you finished. That's what I would do. And, as I say, I've been recording. I've kind of more recently moved away from recording it so much, as it's become quite a big part of my life. And it just sometimes that feels too structured. And I just want to just enjoy being present. Um, but yeah, I feel like each tree is a different personality, different thing to say to you and to say to different people at different points. You can have very different experiences from the same tree. I don't have as I said, a big garden with some trees that I can get to know very well and lie and relax into. So in a way, I've got them everywhere, So I'll go out and I'll spot trees and I'll go, okay, that's the tree I'm going to talk to today. That tree wants to speak with me, and you know,
Yeah, beautiful. My first tree was my mandarin tree in the backyard,
ah,
and I was so excited to actually feel the vibration. And then, yeah, and then was just getting used to that vibration. It's like, wow, they're all so different. But now I have to
yeah,
open up to actually chatting and getting clarity and yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
If you want to, like, there's no. There's
I'm
no
I'm
need.
open. I'm open for direction by nature at any time.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
And the that's connecting with the trees and the whole sexuality part of it, because obviously it's treegasmic. That's where it kind of opens up into a new area. So the trees have channeled to me some really beautiful techniques to that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to share these with people. And so I'm planning to run retreats, and that's how this treegasmic has come about. And just a reminder, like as humans, we have all these issues around sex, but trees don't. They're like it's reproduction. And what I've been noticing sometimes is actually as I go past a tree and it's trying to speak to me, some of them will actually tingle my lower chakras. And I'll be like, oh, it wants to do some work with me, and I will go to that tree and if it was summer, probably I would be, you know, maybe underwear free and sitting on it properly, but that's not happening. So it's too cold right
Yeah.
now. But the in Sanskrit, your root chakra, which is the one between your legs, right? The first chakra is called your Muladhara, and mula means root. The trees have actually told me this, and that's why they kind of went, uh, root chakra, we're trees, hello. It's kind of like one of the trees said that to me. I was like,
Did you find there was a bit of attitude there? Like, come
yeah.
on, Razwana,
So,
get with
so
it.
I mean, some of them are just having a laugh with you. Yes, they are. They were just like, of course, we know how to help you here. We know how. We know all about this. Come on, we're the root. So that that's why I was kind of saying that for people, especially when you're in your head, there's anxieties, overthinking, there's stress. When you're too much here, the techniques and connect with the trees can bring you right down into yourself and into your body. And there are some techniques where when you're able to channel your sexual energy, and there are such a thing of as energy orgasms, which that you may or may not be aware of. Some women yeah are like, yes, I know what that is, and some women are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's okay. There's a journey. There's lots of different types of orgasms, but especially energy orgasms are ones that you can have with a tree. Where they can help you in cultivating and moving that type of sexual energy around you. So some of the techniques involve that.
I'm putting my hand up. I'm coming to one of your retreats. Watch this space.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm starting in New Zealand. I'm gonna have one in where are we going? We're gonna have one in the 1st of August, actually in Tauranga. And we'll be a day retreat with this really beautiful new friend who is from Scotland as well. We're both from Edinburgh, and she lives in New Zealand. And so when we met, we are like, "Oh, you live here as well." She's a sound healer, and she's very, very intuitive. She's pretty amazing. I met her at the forest healing retreat, which was an amazing retreat held right in the north of New Zealand. And she has a lot of instruments. And when I was in her sound healing session before, I had a huge intuitive download and visions and things. And she's just amazing, an amazing facilitator. So she's going to be doing a root chakra opening sound um, ceremony in that. So that will be part of the retreat. So it will work really nice together. And where she is, she's got this beautiful piece of land and a tent where she does all this sound healing in there, and two beautiful old chestnut trees, one masculine and one feminine, and then an outdoor area with this very special, beautiful energy. So that's where our first retreat's going to be. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, it's cool.
Wow,
And then
that
we'll,
sounds so amazing.
yeah, yeah, I'm excited. Then we'll just see where it goes and what happens next, and where it takes me. But yeah, and so that's the retreats, and as I say, I'm just sharing things that have been guided to me through the trees. So it's very special. I don't think these things are out there yet. But when you've been given something, it's important to share. That's one of my
I-
values.
I'm very grateful that you're sharing this with me. I've written a book, My Way to Happiness. It gets better and better, and it is the story of my past growth up to yeah, back in 2007. And I'm writing a book called Embracing My Uniqueness. And it's the last 6 to 7 years. And in there is so much about connection with sensuality. And it's like,
Mhm.
should I be having a closed section, for got to consider my grandchildren, or what, closed section, and the connection with trees and the treegasmic, and it's like, wow, this is going to be in my book. I need to experience this. Yes. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it's beautiful that there's part of us that wants to protect our children and wants to like not share this. If people are reading it, they're ready to read it, they're ready to hear it. I don't think we need to hide or anything. This is the whole point. We're women, we're beautiful,
yeah,
we
I
have
know.
this for a reason. So let's share it. And people who are not ready to hear it or don't want to hear it, just trust that they won't. They
Yeah,
won't get it.
it's like, Nani, did you really write that? Anyway, well, I know it has to come out. I know it has to
Yeah.
come out. So now I have to manifest a trip to New Zealand. I've never been to
Yes.
New Zealand.
Oh,
And
that's okay.
yeah,
Yes, and maybe I'll do one. Maybe I'll do a trip to Australia soon, right? The world's my oyster. So let's see.
you can
There's a
do Australia, and I'd love to connect with you in Australia, but I tell you, I want to go and talk to that tree or that tree.
You're like, I want to get it. It's a beautiful
I
tree. It's
can't
amazing.
unhear what I've just heard.
Good, good.
Now,
Well,
can you just talk a little bit about Quebec in Canada and what's happening
yes.
there?
So that's a beautiful news that we've had last week. So there's a tiny little town in Quebec with like, I don't know, population 1,200 or something. It's a really small town, and they had a groundbreaking law passed about trees to say that trees are living beings, to acknowledge their sentience and their rights as beings, which is huge. It's absolutely huge. But and again, like it's not new because we know living beings we know that when you cut a plant it doesn't like it, right? We know life is life. We know everything wants to live, but to have that deep respect and to actually say no, this is a tree and it it deserves life. It's so important. I wonder who's next. I wonder if this is going to move forward because actually we need to be there. If you think about animal welfare, that was relatively new at one point where people were like, animals have rights. And then a lot of people were probably going, oh, how dare you? They're just for eating. And now we're like, well, what about your pets? So we're getting there with animals. And I mean, arguably, trees should probably even put up higher in terms of their rights to many other animals. I mean, I don't believe in that. I believe in oneness and everything is life, everything is connected. And trees give us oxygen. Like trees, we need trees to breathe, right? If there was no trees, we're dead. We cannot, without breath, we cannot live. So, and I think somewhere along the line, as humans do, we take it for granted. We forget that we're actually we're beings that could die like that if we don't have. How long can you live without oxygen? Really, not very long at all. You can live without water, without food longer than not oxygen. So, so even in that important thing that they do for us, they need us as well, right? We've evolved alongside them. As we have all of the other plants and things that are our natural cures for us, so I would say it's a very important thing for us to start to to really respect trees. And I don't know if you noticed, and I found this out by meeting an arborist from Germany. Now, in Germany, arborists are not like tree surgeons the rest of the world where they just cut trees down. They're actually advocates for the trees.
Oh,
So the arborists are employed by the government, and when someone is about to cut down a tree, the arborist will come around and say, "Hold on," and they will check to see if the tree is dying or dead, or if they actually have a right to take it down, and they'll stop them and fine them if they do that. Yeah, so
wow.
so that's amazing. I just found that out at the Forest Healing Fest when I met a German arborist, and I started thinking, well, yeah, who else and how else is the world like this? Like we only hear about the negative things that happen, but actually, I think this little tiny town in Quebec has given us some hope. And yeah, what next? Who's next? Like these I still see where trees have been cut down. Even in native forests, I've been on a walk recently, and there's one area forest called Ball's Clearing, and there is it's got a funny name. It's BALLS Clearing, and we're just like, what's that about? But what it used to be is the guy, his name was Ball or Bill, and he owned the land, and there was nowhere for him to camp on, to live on and put his house, and it was very dense forest, but there was a natural clearing there. So a group of people in the 1800s or whenever it was, they petitioned to keep this bit of forest from getting cut down. So it's really beautiful. That was the last kind of native forest I visited. It's in Hawke's Bay, a couple of hours out, maybe, or an hour out on the way to the Kaweka forest. Um, but what I found is there was a lot of trees that were cut down right recently, which were next to the road, and so they probably must have thought that they were, a danger to people driving on the roads, which, you know, if we had proper arborists who actually advocates for the trees, they might not have just cut them down. Maybe they would have built a fence. Maybe they would have moved the road, there would have been other
Mm,
options, but actually none of that was explored because the trees, they don't have a voice, unfortunately. So
yeah.
that's my vision, that hopefully the trees have a voice and we care about them. Mm.
Well, I'm sitting here really quite guilty because feeling quite guilty because where I'm living, when we moved here, we actually cut down some trees. But I
Mm.
actually had Hayley Wallace, who is a land healer, and she
Oh,
came and she checked it all out and she prepared the trees.
oh,
And then she also put crystals in the ground where trees had been cut for where our house was built, I don't know how many years ago.
oh.
And yeah, so I do know about it, but I wasn't so aware until
Mm.
like I was guided to get Haley to come, which I'm so grateful for that I did do that. And it's lovely
Mm.
to hear that there are arborists around who are, prepare the trees or yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it is gorgeous. And
Mm.
I think probably the one thing I want to talk about is my research, if that's okay. I was saying earlier that, the trees have helped me so much. What can I do back? What can I give back to them? And this is, I guess, a wider question for society, right? We've received so much. How can we give back? That's where we can step away from our own problems and actually look outside ourselves and do something bigger. And I used to, so I think I said I'm a physiotherapist. I was a microbiologist in my first degree, and I've done research. I've done studies, and I kind of thought, I always, after doing those, always thought one day I'll do a study. I'm not quite sure what it'll be about, but what I'm doing right, what I was doing at that time wasn't really interesting me. What I thought is I would love to do a study to show that we can communicate to trees, or that the communicating to trees and having a relationship with trees is good for us and good for the world. And that thereby, I mean, that's another reason I want to go on this podcast to talk about connecting to the trees in a personal way. Because the more people that do that, the more you're going to have a personal connection, right? If you loved and hugged on all your trees, you wouldn't want to cut them down. You find another way around. And I like anyone who's cut a tree down. I don't want you to feel bad. This is not about being guilty. It's just being conscious about your choices that you make in the future. And sometimes trees will be cut down. That just is what it is. It's okay. Don't lie awake at night having another thing to stress about. The trees forgive us, like forgive yourself, forgive the land. But anyway, I decided to try and go into this research, and I found a researcher. I found a paper actually, and the researcher was in Finland. The paper is called "Do You Have a Tree Friend?" And it was a woman who had connected a lot of studies where people had this association with the tree and a love for the tree, and she documented it and created a really beautiful paper. And so actually, I contacted her and asked if she would do some research with me, and she said yes. And I'm also um, working with a researcher in New Zealand who's going to help as well. So I've created a research study with published authors. I haven't done this kind of research in a long time, in over a decade, and actually not even in this area. But that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when there's a passion and desire and a need to do good, then you'll find a way. And this is what's been happening to me. My intuition has told me very much to keep going with the trees, and I've had lots of visions, and so this is part of me just kind of giving back to the trees and knowing that they're looking after us as well, like in more than one way, and the tree spirits are as strong as any other being, and they're guiding us and helping us and supporting us. So yes, but this is actually going to be scientific research and not just spiritual stuff, but and I believe
Wow.
that spiritual stuff it will be science one day, right? We just don't know what the mechanism is behind it and how things can be proven. But I'm excited because this research is what I'm hoping will be a new way for people to stop killing the trees, a new way for people to continue um, the environment and hold on to what is so dear to us. Because I think like we're bored of the whole kind of like, save the trees and and all this kind of when we hear things again and again, we're not that interested, and we're often you know, this is just human nature again. What's in it for us? Like, why should I care about the trees in the Amazon? Like, I'm breathing right here and now. I don't really care. But the difference is when you make a friend, when you connect with, when you receive and communicate with a very deep ancient soul, and new souls. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a young tree or an old tree, amazing things will happen, and then you have that deep respect. And that is kind of the social movement that I'm hoping we can share that with our grandchildren. We can share that with the people of the future, and they will therefore have this deep respect and keep nature because we've lost so much of that. Mm, yeah.
Just beautiful. What I'm hearing instead of like save the tree, it's like for me, I'm doing a lot of deep and personal with self. That's where I'm facilitating and just bringing connection back to self and even having that focus on self and feeling the inwardness that we all have, the whole self. And trees are just going to enhance that, enhance that. You'll have the advocates for trees anyway, because people are going to have that connection with that. It's just going to go hand in hand. Yeah.
Yes,
So I
100%.
can see that on my way, on my side, that I can see
Mm,
that my influence, my sharing, how it's important to feel all the frequencies and the vibration that Mother Earth provides for us that we just need to tune into. And trees are such a huge, important part of that. So thank you for talking about it and bringing it into my awareness and widening the scope. I feel like I was so excited what I knew, but now you've just widened it so much. And it's like I just want to embrace it. So
Mm.
thank you, Raswana.
You're so welcome. You're so
Yeah.
welcome. Yes, big hugs to you and big tree hugs. Right for everybody.
Yeah, if anyone wants to find out more about Roswana's amazing work and what she's having in the future and what she's offering now, her links will be below and connect with her. And I'm just so grateful you reached out. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. I hope something in this conversation stayed with you, opened something up in you, and simply made you feel seen. If this episode moved you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you'd like to continue this journey, be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Until next time, take care of your heart and remember, your story matters. Razwana, when are we going to see? Are we going to see each other in person next, or will it be another episode on Heartfelt? It's
We
going to
we
be
can
so
do it
exciting.
all. We can do it all. We could do a live episode from a tree if you like, Wendy.
Ah, that sounds beautiful. I look forward to it. My manifesting skills are going to be really open to see what the universe provides for me. So thank you very, very
You're so
much.
welcome. Thank you for having me, Julie. It's been wonderful. I appreciate you and all your listeners, and the trees love you and all your listeners as well.
Yeah, they do. Thank you.